Good afternoon and welcome to what is now the 5th Annual Youth Travel Summit at ITB and the 5th opportunity to hear Samuel Vetrock, CEO and founder of Student Marketing, tell us about the segment, its importance in international travel and tourism, and most importantly for you, how you can get a piece of the action. Student Marketing is a market intelligence and consultancy in youth travel and tourism, particularly focusing on education and meaningful travel products, looking to work with and working for governments, associations, and private enterprises. He will share with us, to begin with, his views and his findings of the latest trends, and in particular, some case studies of successful marketing strategies to reach young travelers. Following Samuel's presentation, we have a very illustrious group of panelists who are specialists coming from government, NGOs, and destinations, and even commercial companies, all sharing with you highlights of their successes in working with young travelers and attracting them. So before we lose any more time, I give you Samuel Vetrock.
Thank you, Susan. Welcome. Good afternoon. So after a brief introduction, I only introduce the presentation I will do now. This some 15 slides presentation should provide a basic food for our further conversation and panel that we will have here with our distinguished guests, so that we can share the experience that we have from youth travel and how youth travel can be beneficial for destinations or particular industry stakeholders. So first, if somebody wants to tweet, these are the basic coordinates for this session. As Susan said, we at Student Marketing help destinations, associations, and individual providers or receivers of youth travelers to understand the market, and thanks to the understanding, capitalize on the benefits of this segment. So let me share you some basic numbers of this segment. So we're talking about roughly 20% of all international arrivals. It's a huge segment of arrivals within the international tourism, and youth travelers now represents 227 million arrivals, with 4.7% increase year on year of last statistically measured years. What is important to say over here is the fact that back in 1990s, the youth travel represented roughly 15%. Last decade it was around 20%, and this decade we expect that it will grow up to 25%. So it becomes increasingly more important segment, and in terms of arrivals and monetary value and economic impact of the sector, it's now almost equal, and soon will overcome business travel as a segment. So it's no longer a niche. It's something that destinations should be looking at, and something that they should try to leverage for them, not only as a present benefit for them, as a huge segment of 227 million arrivals, but also for future, because if the destinations succeed to attract the youth travelers now, they will later on come as the family or business traveler, and they will spend additional repeated visits to the destination. So it's not only one-off investment, but repeated business for the destinations with this segment. So these are some basic things about the frequency of travel. So the youth travelers, mostly from the European markets and the more emerging and mature source markets, spend 2.2 trips per annum. 60% of them are youth travelers. Of these youth travelers are students. So they somehow are either on a high school or university level. They spend, in average, $70 per day, which is not that much, but they stay longer, much longer than an average tourist, and as we will have the opportunity to see from some case studies later on here, they spend in some destinations more than 77 days, and therefore the total spend is bigger than the average tourists. When we talk about lifetime budget that is spent to travel, which is roughly around $80,000 that the one individual spends in the course of life, then when we have a youth traveler to be the first purchasing decision or travel decision in their life for the destination, so the destination has an opportunity for a repeated hit and a repeated visit and acquiring a bigger chunk of this $80,000 budget of lifetime spent for travel. What is important to say is also how they communicate. So youth travelers use their email while on travel only in 15% cases, whereas 35% of them use social media on a daily basis when they're on travel. So we are not in an era where they spend so much time on emails rather than social networks. This is some comparison contrast where the youth travel now is at the value of $224 billion, which is more than the Nike brand value for comparison, as you can see over here, more than the value of a global market research industry, more than the movie making industry, and more than a Facebook market cap where the Facebook can be capitalized on. So youth travel is by far a very significant sector and no close to the be niche any longer. So youth travelers, these are the basic features and why to invest to youth travel. Youth travel is resilient to economic downturns. In times of 2008, 2009, youth travel didn't go that down as other sectors in tourism or outside of tourism. Moreover, some sectors actually were growing at that time because people spent on experiential travel. Second thing, young people travel also outside of the beaten track, so to non-mainstream destinations, which is opportunity for many destinations that have difficulties to attract the average traveler or tourists. They stay longer and in total spend more in destinations than average tourists, and they have more appetite for travel, which is growing. So if youth travelers visit a destination, they have potential to return in many cases more often than the average traveler that goes for a holiday or leisure. So if they have a good experience, they'll return there later on as they create a relationship with a destination. So the fifth point is basically what I already mentioned, that they create an affiliation with the destination, and that influences their future traveler intentions. So some recommendations what to do if you want to become youth travel friendly. So first of all, you need to include educational component to your product. So as our guests probably will share with us, youth travelers do not travel to go away from something, but to go for something, and they need to find some content. So as a destination, you need to create something to attract them, not necessarily to relax from something, but to find and learn from something. Then the experience needs to be created collaboratively. So you need to engage the end customer to create a marketing collateral. You need to have a strong online presence. This is no-brainer. And you need to create a social media community so that these young travelers engage with you before they travel, so that they have some references, some reviews, some testimonials, something they can identify with. Out of the other things, I will not read it, the presentation will be distributed to those who are interested and leave the card afterwards. So we don't have room to go to all the details. Is one important feature that youth travel not only happens as a FIT, but also happens a lot in group travel, which is quite convenient for destinations to work with buyers or tour operators that are focused in youth travel, and therefore they can easily and quite efficiently in a short time get a lot of new youth travelers coming to their destinations, as it's not like in mainstream travel where 70% of bookings are now done online and 30% through the B2B. In youth travel, it's still the majority of bookings are done B2B through the buyers. So it's quite a convenient way of success for destinations. Some case studies to share with you. A par excellence destination that works with youth travelers for several years now is Australia. And as Australia succeeded to work with them intensively, strategically, now we can see results over here. It's not 20, but 25% of the visitors are youth travelers. The average spending for an average tourist is close to $5,000, as opposed to a youth traveler who spends $7,300 in the destination. And now the estimated economic impact of youth travel in Australia is bringing $12 billion per annum, which is quite an important segment of export for Australia, and represents altogether with education the third most important export after the mining and coal. Now, a comparison with Spain. So imagine that you are Spain as a destination that now has 17% of youth of arrivals are represented by youth travelers. If Spain reaches the scenario of an average, industry average of 20% of youth travelers visits, it would earn new $1.8 billion revenues for the destination. Not talking about the jobs and taxes that it would create. And if it reaches scenario number 2, which is the levels of Australia, which is 26%, it would go up to 5.3 billion annual revenues being earned for the destination. So this is the capital opportunity for the destination to work with youth travelers. Now some short examples, and then I will pass on to our panelists. Some case studies. So Brisbane, Australian city, they made sort of an action plan for youth and backpacker market. They focus on this and targeted youth travel policy so that they send a message and they attract the youth travelers. So that's one example. Another one, Australia did the best job in the world campaign, where they compiled a video campaign that was created as a viral online campaign, shared in between the end users or people that were fascinated by possibility to get the best job in the world in Australia. It was a sort of a 6-month project, and it was so, in a way, cost efficient to create this product, but so creative and so viral, therefore, that it created so much visibility for Australia amongst the youth travelers. That's one of the advantages for the destinations in this segment, that if they create a creative, engaging campaign, it doesn't necessarily need a lot of marketing dollars to push the distribution of such a campaign. Then hosting a youth event is also a way of attracting the youth traveler, as they're looking for content rather than relax. Then hosting a competition, hosting awards, or hosting some annual conference of some significant student union or student association, that's also a way of attracting youth travelers to come to your destination. Then fam tours for youth travel buyers. So youth travel buyers in average send in between 10,000 and 200,000 students in groups, and inviting them to your destination to get familiar and somehow get more excited business-wise to promote the destination, makes a huge impact and easy to get the attention of a destination, attention of a source market through the redistributors like buyers. The social media campaign like Germany did back in 2013, so that promoted Germany as a youth destination through the social media campaign. So it featured certain important milestones and events and sites in Germany, and created a social media buzz that attracted and stimulated the mobility towards Germany. Then UK did a similar viral campaign, Unite the Invite campaign, where basically match your invite. So if you are coming to UK and you bring somebody else, you could win something that is in the pod or prize pod, and that doubled the attention and traffic to the United Kingdom from this segment through the social viral campaign. Then you can organize a sales mission. So again, it's for the B2B contracting. So not to bring the buyers to the destination, but you as a destination with your providers go to the countries like Brazil or Mexico, and you bring the top buyers over there, and you stimulate the interest and traffic this way. And the last one, or second to last one, is partnerships. So like Tourism New Zealand created a partnership with Jetstar to deal to bring more visitors. So like the other destinations like UK or Malta are doing partnerships with the particular buyers to promote them and to be sort of exclusive redistributors to their hundreds of offices. That's also a way how destinations are promoted to source markets. Or partnerships with student associations, like ISEC, for example, who groups over 100,000 students with a talent that have reached to further universities and student bodies. And as you can see over here, some of the top brands or destinations already partner with these kind of student associations, that many of them group millions of students, and being partner of them means the brand exposure to these millions of students. So last slide is about the options for the destinations, and as you will have the opportunity to study this at home, just short overview of what the destinations usually do to attract youth travelers or this segment. So they start with market intelligence, so they source the information and get familiar with the segment. They build a strategic plan. They build the initial partnerships afterwards. They usually then develop the content, so scholarships, internships, accommodation supply, some low-cost flight connections if there is an opportunity for that. Some youth travel accommodation supply, as I mentioned, followed by youth travel events and contests, competitions in the destination. And if they create a content, which we are in the half of the circle, then they do the marketing itself. So they do the fan tours, press tours, fact-finding tours, followed by trade missions, so going to the source markets, and follow with the social campaigns like mobile marketing, online marketing, or social media and viral marketing. So sort of strategic marketing mix to engage with this youth segment. So I hope that I have provided you a good insight to this segment. And my very last message, as marketeers, I'm sure you know the 4 Ps or 4 Ms. In youth travel, we start to use the 4 Es. If you want to engage with youth travelers, be somehow extraordinary. You need to be outside of the box. Use the E features to engage with them. Be engaging. You cannot do one-way marketing with them. You need to engage them to your marketing collateral, and be enriching. So offer something that enrich their lives, their careers, or their studies, or somehow their personal experience. Thank you for your attention, And should you be interested in the presentation, my colleague Stefan, can you identify yourself? We'll be collecting the business cards to receive the presentation. And now I pass on to Susan.
Thank you, Sam.